All right. Hello, Danielle, again.
Oh,
Hello again. So basically, this is Danielle Martin, aka the Shapeshifter, or aka, or is it the Shapeshifter, aka Danielle Martin?
yes, it kind of goes both ways.
All right.
It's fluid.
Sweet. Yeah. Basically, do you want to do a quick introduction for yourself?
Sure, yeah, let's
I-
go off the bat. So,
yeah.
yeah,
What do you create? What do you create?
yeah. I do a lot of illustrations. I started about I want to say maybe like 4 years ago or so. And it's been really interesting because I was always a really big doodler, and then it kind of evolved into more like illustrative style. And as I was on, starting off my spiritual journey and my own, waking up out of the matrix, sort of say, and like my ascension, that I started to slowly notice that what I was creating like externally, like on the paper, was an exact like internal reflection of what was going on. And yeah so
Sweet.
I yeah so that's kind of been my journey with like intertwining art and spirit, and I didn't really start to realize that until like last year or so. And then it was like a big like profound moment for me that I've been documenting my whole spiritual self journey
Yeah.
through my creativity.
So it kind of worked where you were actually drawing these things out and you didn't really realize like it was actually like a channeled painting or a channel of that's so cool. Did you realize at like one moment and it just like completely changed everything, or did you kind of like have this feeling as you were like going along?
I don't really remember like a particular moment that it was like, like that's what it is. Like this is, what I've been doing. I think it was
Right.
more so like a slow kind of build up to that, where slowly I started like intuitively seeing like symbols and like metaphors, and even just like the type or like writing that I would put as well. So I think I always almost knew it like inside, but there was like this delay to like my conscious awareness that it was like, oh, okay, so like this is kind of what's been going on and like what I've been expressing.
Right. So was it sort of like you were just doing your paintings and you've always been doing these and then you had your spiritual like kind of awakening, piecing things together, and then you start realizing like ball really starts rolling?
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting how it all happened. Cause yeah, I've been a doodler like my whole life. I've always been an artist, like ever since I was really, really young. Like my mom has like photos of me, painting or drawing. So I've always
Right.
been a very, very expressive, creative soul. But it wasn't until about like 4 years ago when I went to art and design school up here in Halliburton,
Nice.
Ontario. And yeah, then that's when it started kind of flowing out more. And when I had my spiritual awakening was in my first year from this course called Dreams in the Collective Unconscious. And that really started kind of like, getting the ball rolling. And yeah, really started off on like this whole self journey. And then around that time, I started doing more illustrations, just slowly one after another. So it was almost
Right.
like this slow progression of these doodles that I once did became bigger pieces of art, and that I considered like, a work of art. And it just, yeah, they just kept coming out of me like, yeah, week after week, over the months, over the years, until I just have this whole archive now of literally my whole soul journey expressed in like creative form.
That's sick. That's cool. You mentioned Dreams of the Unconscious. Sorry, did you say that was a book or
No, so that was a course like in my first year of college.
they
Yeah, right. So I was like, you don't get this like anywhere else. And the
No.
school is like very, very unique. I kind of reference it as like a hidden gem
Yeah.
here, like because I live in cottage country off like in the lake.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I was like this little hidden gem of a school, and yeah, that was the course, Dreams in the Collective Unconscious, and my first year. And so we were learning about dreams, obviously, and keeping dream journals like was one of our projects. And ever since then, I've always kept like a dream journal too. And we started talking about in that course, you know, the different levels of consciousness and the ego and different like cultures. And so it really just like opened up my mind to this whole new world that I had no idea was really there, like the whole
Right.
spiritual side of, you know, living as a human being. And yeah, that was like the starting point. That was like the door of my awakening.
Damn, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
like, because it's really rare that a school course will provide the door for your awakening. Usually the school course tries to do like the opposite, you know?
Exactly.
So I was really surprised when you said that was a actual course. Which school was it?
It's called the Halliburton School of Art and Design.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
as up here, yeah, because I live in Ontario, and so it's this little place called Halliburton, which is in cottage country, and this is where the school is. But it's a part of Fleming College, so
Right.
it's one of their campuses. But because the school's so small, like I think there's only like around 100 people or so in just specific in art and design. So there's no math, no sciences, no English, like nothing of that nature.
Oh,
So we
sweet.
were surrounded with like-minded people and with other creative souls. So it was just this beautiful, like harmonious place of just like pure self-expression. Yeah, it was amazing. Like
Oh,
there's really like
that's awesome.
nowhere else like that.
And see, that's so cool. Like when you'll get something like that and it's just like in your reality. I don't
Yeah.
know if you like think of it this way, but like I always think when certain things come into my life and it like resonates so hard, I'm like, this is crazy. It's like this is not something where reality is this fixed thing and it's the same for everyone. Like I honestly always see things happening in my life, and even if it's something that's happened for a big group of people, 100 people, I'll be like, I still created this. You know, like it was meant for me. Like maybe it was meant for these other people too, but I think that like our thoughts are always shifting us to the collective consciousness that we like resonate with. So like it's a trippy thing, right? Because like you, if you're on a different path, that might not even exist, that school course, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, which yeah, that's so crazy to think about. And like, you know, if you're thinking about in terms of that way of like, you know, if you would have made, you know, a different decision to go somewhere else, like you would not be living in this current reality right now. It's just so
Yeah,
mind-boggling to think that every single decision we've made in our life has led us up to this exact moment of, you know, space and time right now that like we're both on this video call, you
yeah,
know, like it's
100%.
yeah. And I love, yeah, I love thinking about it like that way too. So it's very yeah, it's very interesting and very very mind-boggling too, and just the power itself that we have, you know, as spiritual human beings. And when you consciously realize that, you know, we are literally creating our reality with our thoughts, feelings, you know, and actions,
Yeah,
that,
that's
you know,
exactly it.
it's a mirror of what we feel on the inside is the outside. So we're gonna have these profound, amazing experiences. So
Yeah, that's so like I feel like even if you're as an artist it's one thing, but even if you're not, like you can still super appreciate
yeah,
that this is someone's innerness. You just got to realize that it is someone's inner being, you know? Like that's all you have to think of when you look at a piece of art. Like this is someone's inner being, and that like changes the whole entire game. That changes everything.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's so yeah, there's so much power within that too, you know, when you come to a place of like self realization and you know, actually like expressing your authenticity throughout your work. And you know,
Mm,
I consider myself as an artist, as a creator, but we're really all artists and we are all creators. So it's kind of like this fluid term that I've really changed my perspective on, because you know, like I consider myself like an artist, but someone
yeah,
else be like, oh, you know, I can't, you know, I can't draw, or like I can't do this, so I'm not an artist, I'm not a creator. But you know, if you think
yeah.
about it, like we're creating everything that
Every
we're
yeah,
doing, and everything material in the world has been created by someone. So just it's such a
Even,
change of
yeah,
thought.
even just like life. I know what you're saying. Even like life, it's like it's a movie, and you
Yeah,
can change at any moment to make it anything you want. And I think if people really started understanding that they have that power, it'd be a totally like, I honestly think we're shifting there. That's something I want to like kind of bridge into is like the Great
yeah,
Awakening, right?
yeah,
The shift to
yeah.
5D, where okay, wait. Couple things. I have this mind. I don't know if you have it, right? In school, in grade 10, I had ADD, and then I realized, no, I just
Oh,
have like such a very amazing creative mind. But
yeah,
yeah, that's something I don't want people to believe in is limiting beliefs. But
yeah,
one thing I was gonna say, which I kind of forgot, maybe I'll remember it. One second, maybe I'll remember it. Oh yeah, even my YouTube channel is a piece of art, right? And like
yes, it
art
is.
is finding yourself and creating your inner existence. I was telling you earlier that like I don't really exactly have a specific niche, but I know I'm someone who's made to share ideas. So through that art, like, it's one day going to be at a point where I'm like, yeah, I am the go-to guy for this, but I don't mind having a bunch of videos where I'm just finding that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that you bring up a really good point too, because that's about the whole process, right? Of not being like, or saying, I guess, putting some sort of like limit on what you can do almost, right? Or
Yeah.
coming to this place of, yeah, you are like experimenting with yourself and you're evolving as, your work is evolving as you're evolving. And that's how I think of like my own practice too. And very much so like, like yourself with your YouTube channel. And I know like your music and your beats as well too. Like I've seen like it's the exact same thing, right? It's that evolution in the process. And I think that's yeah, such an important key thing because we like to think about the destination so much of like this is
Oh,
gonna be or like the destination and like the end goal. But I
yeah.
think majority of us, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot
Mhm.
of people really go down that route of of that's just like the end goal, which I think
Yeah.
is good to have those kind of like pillars. But it's
Pillars
yeah,
is what they are.
yeah, but it's that process of going through these notions is the most beautiful thing of it all.
Oh yeah, 100%. I watched a movie last night and I forget the name of it, but the main theme, like it was okay, I don't know if you've seen it before. It was directed by Christopher Nolan, and Christopher
Okay.
Nolan is dope. He just makes the most amazing mind-expanding movies. But it was science fiction, and basically um this like huge spaceship is on a trip from Earth to Homestead 2, which is like another Earth,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
gonna take 110 years to get there. So what
Wow.
happens is the humans go into hibernation pods, and they're supposed to wake up 4 months after. And one wakes up early, and then like wakes up this other girl. And anyways, so if you're not cluing in now, then you probably don't know the movie. I was
Yeah,
just
no, I don't think I've seen it, but it sounds like something I would definitely enjoy. Very, very interesting.
yeah, I'll send you the name to it. It's actually sick.
Yeah,
But
cool.
the main theme, which I was getting at, is like don't be so focused on where you wish you were that you forget to enjoy where you are now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And that's all. That's all it is, really.
Yeah, that's so it's so interesting that you bring that up because I don't know if you saw I posted my Instagram stories and the oracle card that I picked today was present moment of all living in, the now of, just enjoying what is here right now and not being sucked into the past and not worrying or being fearful about the future. So it's just yeah, perfect little synchronicity again,
Yeah,
like you just
100%.
brought
That's honestly been a theme in my life for the past 2 years. It was crazy because I remember going to an ayahuasca ceremony, right? And this is okay, actually, cool little story, right? So I used to be someone that wasn't really present, and I actually haven't shared too much about this, but it's a good minute too, because it's
Yeah,
like being
go for it.
vulnerable. And
Yeah.
I know people are gonna see this, but that's okay. I'm about to be vulnerable, okay? And it may not come out like that, but it just feels like that for me. So basically, I used to in high school, I used to like really do prescription medications to get high, right? And then like I was able to quit that aside, but then I smoked like so much weed and it hit me really hard. Like the psychedelic effect of weed, it would hit me like really hard and it would take me out of the moment so much. And then so one day, um, I decided to get a tattoo. And I don't know how like that preface really like moves
Yeah.
into this, but I decided to like get a tattoo that said "Be Here Now," right? And
Oh,
it's on my left wrist. And then 2 weeks later, like stuff happens in my life, and everything intertwangles together. And I just end up going to an ayahuasca ceremony, and then we have ceremony night. And the next day, there's like these animal cards, and mind you, like I don't really know how to use cards. I don't know too much about like divination cards,
yeah.
but I decided to just like pull three, and then one showed up and it said, "Be here now," and it was like a hummingbird, right?
Oh my
And I
gosh.
pulled three. I was just called to pull three. And the third one was a starfish, and it said, "Be open to infinite possibilities."
Ah.
And I was like, "That's sick." And now looking on with my music, my producer tags literally infinite beats.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, as soon as you said the infinite, I was like, isn't that yeah, you like your name with like yeah, with your music.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like a full circle, like a whole thing that happened.
Yeah. Well, the third one was also take a leap of faith. So it's like be here now, be open to infinite opportunities, and take a leap of faith. And it goes back to like we were talking about earlier, just like trusting the process and just enjoying it now. But really trusting the process is I saw those three cards and I was overwhelmed because in that moment I was like literally said being here now, I got that on my wrist. And like these other two just resonates with me. So I was super overwhelmed by I'm like, I'm just gonna sit with this, and this is gonna be a moment I remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's like a very profound moment, especially like, the messages that came through and that you just got like that tattoo. Like, oh my gosh, like talk about a meant to be experience.
exactly, 100%. And so it's crazy when we're really open to our true path. Like I think these things only come when we're being authentic,
Yeah.
when we're really truly ourselves. Which kind of like makes me wonder, so did you always know you're going to be an artist, or did something like change, like a
Yeah.
drawing artist?
Um, Honestly, I think I've always known that I was going to end up in the art and design world, like some way of another. And I remember, I don't know if when I was really young and we had these in our yearbooks. I don't know if you have this too, but it was like when I grow up, I want to be like blank, and we would like fill
Hmm.
it out like when we were in like kindergarten, like grade
Hmm.
one. And I remember like a couple years weren't exactly the thing, but I remember a few
Okay.
years I wrote down that when I grow up, I want to be an artist. And so I
Nice.
think that my soul, like when I incarnated here, like as Danielle, was like to be the most ultimate creator that I can be and that I know I can be. And so throughout my whole life, like I've always been drawn to expressing myself, through artistic forms, and expressing my imagination in the way that I want to. And to be creative, like I've always been such a creative artistic soul. So yeah, I think definitely I always knew that that I would be, I don't want to say like on this path, but kind of in
The
the art
creation
world. Yeah, yeah, that I would be, yeah, creating
and
and
creating and like
yeah,
that in itself, like following that path, it either takes a lot of bravery, or I was thinking the other day, like almost like naiveness, but naiveness has like a negative connotation. And I think it's like I think sometimes being naive is a great thing, because if you're
Yeah.
not thinking of those, it's pretty quantum and out there. But if you're not thinking of those, like what could go wrong or anything, then
Yeah.
it's a lot less likely to happen. Like so
Yeah.
many times in my life, I've been rewarded for being naive. Like a lot of my friends be like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna go do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, do you see a reason why I should not do this?" I'm be like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." And I'll be like, "That doesn't click. I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
do it."
Yeah, it's what, yeah, like what, what you feel inside. If that's what resonates with you, then that's what feels right.
Yeah, 100%. Because the heart always knows the way. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
something I've been trying to help people with, or at least talk about like in person with people, is like, don't listen to your head so much. Don't like follow
Yeah.
your heart and just trust the process.
Yeah.
Okay. So I even have a few questions written down here
Yeah, for
that I
sure.
just like wrote down quickly. Who do you feel is making the art when you make drawings?
Oh, interesting. I'm very glad you asked that. Um, this has been something that has really kind of come up within the past year or so. That because, I've always thought of like myself, my human form as like I'm the one with the hand, I'm the one with the mind, the imagination, that's actually, creating this in physicality. But within this past year, it's really kind of switch to this whole more so like I think you mentioned it before, like the channeling of
Mhm.
of the art and of the creativity. And like I look at some of my pieces, and even like when I'm in the process, I almost sometimes go into like this trance. And I always explain to people, because people ask like, how do you come up with the stuff that you do? Like, where does it come from, Danielle?
Yeah.
And I've always just been like, I don't know, like it just happens, right? Like I've never
Right.
really had a solid explanation, of just like it just flows through. And I've always explained it as like it's a mindless task for me, which usually when you
Mhm.
think of like you're creating, you're thinking or designing or whatever you're doing, you're very mindful about what you're doing. But I'm not. Like it's just a mindless thing. It's like a head to hand collaboration. And I really think it's also, just collaboration with my higher self 100%. Like I've developed a really strong connection with my higher self too. So
For
it
sure.
kind of flows through both of us, where this information or these images, these worlds and universes that I create, through myself, is being kind of flowed through like these higher realms almost.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like sometimes I'll look at a painting and I'll be like, because that's an amazing answer. Sometimes I'll look at a painting, I'll be like, that's amazing. Now, what was going through the artist's mind?
Yeah,
What was like the connections like blowing up and everything?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and sometimes, like I said, like the artist doesn't even know. Like it's channeling, right? That divine source, that pure divine source energy that's just emanating through, the physicality of our being. And then sometimes it's interesting when I finish a piece, I'm just like, what just happened? Like what did I just create? And I like, think about and just like look at it. And I usually have these kind of like profound and awe-inspiring like moments. And even going back to look at pieces that I've done maybe like a month ago, like a year ago, or even a couple years ago, where I look at it and I'll see so much more information embedded in that piece that I didn't see when I finished it, or I was actually like when I was in the process of doing it. So it's this constant evolution of ourselves, and just like
Yeah.
of the self and of our art, and seeing more and more in depth in these pieces.
That's so amazing. That's sick. That's so cool, because I think like if you were the source, you wouldn't be conscious of being the source, and you'd be like, everything's already perfect and I'm already in everything. So like then I almost imagine the source would be like, but like I want an experience, and I don't know. it just like puts itself into physical form, and
Yeah.
then somehow we're able to connect that through, and then we're able to express source in physical form, which is weird because, like, obviously trees are physical, but like
Yeah.
it is like the source energy is like inside of it, at least how I like think of it, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And it would be like, well, I want to go through the experience of experiencing myself.
Yeah. Oh, very good way of saying that. Yeah, there's so much truth of that, of, experiencing yourself in, whole new other form of just even in like the purest form that it can be, which is like, that divine source energy. That's the purest of, what you can be. And so to express that is honestly, like, I feel like it's one of life's greatest gifts, to be able to express yourself in that, in such an authentic, truthful way that's just, emanating light, through
Yeah.
yourself.
Everyone has one. Everyone has their
Yeah.
channel flow state.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just about accessing that, like, talking about like we're all creators. It's that accessing of that consciousness and that awareness to open up
Mhm.
that door, open up that portal into this whole new light, into this whole new world that we can
Yeah.
experience that otherwise we might not, be able to if we're not, consciously aware that it even exists.
Yeah, you gotta know it exists. You gotta know there's something else. And
Yeah.
like you said, like, you don't think of your art on a level, you just gotta like shut your mind up for a second, like really just like go blank,
Yeah.
and just because when I create the music, it's like if I'm thinking too much about it, I'll just be like, okay, I just have to start placing these notes down, placing these drums down, and then I don't even, I'm like, this should go here, this should go here. I want it to sound like da 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 da, and I didn't have to think about that. It'll just like go in, and it's like sweet,
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that flow state. Yeah, it's so powerful.
For real, for real. I just I want to inspire people, but like I know that I just gotta do it myself and just be that change.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. To access that, the real, just like truthful self without the layers, without the disillusions, without,
Yeah,
false, limiting beliefs or yeah, projections that we get from society or from our upbringing and all these things. And so when you unleash all of that and just are, radiating within your own purest energy, that's where the magic is really, hidden in a sense. That's where like it lives.
yeah, and I think for people, it's like, wow, that sounds so cool, that sounds so beautiful, but like my mom wants me to be taking this path, and she'd like
Oh,
disown me if I didn't do this, or it's like, yeah, but that's uncertain, and like a job, it's just I'll always get that paycheck, or this, that, and the other. But it comes back to just like trusting the process. Like, for example, my mom didn't want me to make music. She wanted me going to do something. So I went into biochemistry, and I realized that wasn't really for me. So I dropped out after 2 months in that program, and I started following my passion more and more. And me and my mom just grew farther and farther apart and got into more fights. But it's 2 years later now from that point where like I came out to her like wanting to be an artist, and she sees I'm doing these things, and it's working for me. I'm not out on the street or anything.
yeah, yeah,
So it really is in trusting the process. And if you are someone, if someone wants to go create, it's like, even going through those times of roughness, going through those times where you quit your job, going through those times, they'll inspire you. They speak to people. Some of the greatest creations, actually, for some people, come from pain.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So just go for it is the message of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Did psychedelics help you to unlock anything?
Um, no, interesting, because a lot of people have asked me that, like when they look at my work, like there's kind of like that, that vibe to it, like that energy.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
definitely.
no, I am. Yeah, I haven't done like a big trip. Like I've only done mushrooms once. It was, a small amount, and I've microdosed definitely a lot of times for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never never gone down that kind of like, classic like trip
Yeah.
experience. I've always been very intrigued and very interested like in doing so, but yeah, I just haven't. So there hasn't really been, I guess, like you say, like inspired or like that kind of inspiration
That's cool.
from something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you mostly don't have to. I see so many people that I'm like, how are you on that without shrooms? I'm like, respect.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I do have to say though, like with all the times like I've microdosed because I've done that quite a bit like with mushrooms
Right.
and
And when you say microdose, you mean like a microdose regime? Because I have friends that are like, oh, I did point like 3 of mushrooms last night and I microdose. I'm like, well, technically, microdose is where you take like a subperceptual dose every 3 days and you do that for 2 months and it like rewires your brain.
I see what you mean. So I've kind of done both. Like sometimes like there's a period of time I was in a really dark place, one of like my dark night of the soul
Mm,
journey this past spring, and I think almost
mm,
every day or every other day I would be taking, microdosing a small amount for it. It went on for about like a month and a half or so. And
nice.
so yeah, the plant, it was very healing and very opening up a lot of like emotions that were suppressed because that's something that us humans are very good at doing, is suppressing these, this darkness and
Hmm.
all of these things that we don't really want to come out to the light. So yeah,
Hmm.
so the mushrooms really did help me to kind of unlock those areas that otherwise would have been kind of like in the gutters and just kind of like stuck down there, and just to release and to really help heal. So there's a lot of releasing and healing and processing that, yeah, that was kind of going through like the notions of that.
I think mushrooms are honestly great for that. Like, they've been here for so long and yeah, they're beautiful. They're sacred.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I, oh, okay. So I was talking about this. I have a huge, not huge. I have a list of like 5 or 6. Like I said, I just like quickly wrote this down. Um, I feel like this could go on forever, so I'm like literally gonna get to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's something that happened on the like literally my last and first like one of these conversations slash interview slash
Yeah,
podcast I did
yeah,
with
yeah.
the first artist. Like we're like, okay, it's probably gonna be 20 minutes, and then it ends up being like 47 minutes or whatever. It was like, but the average watch time was like people were watching like half of it, so like maybe they're actually interested.
Damn, that's very good. That's awesome.
Well, it's from the heart. It's from the heart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, speaking of like that, yeah, that authenticity and just yeah, the flow states that yeah, that you can get
Yeah,
in just like talking about all these things. But
100%,
yeah,
100%. Exactly. Excitement. Okay, so speaking of the people and speaking of getting in flow states and following your passion, anything, do you have any sort of advice for a person that is like wanting to follow their passion, but they just feel like a little scared to take that risk?
yeah. Um, yeah, scared to take that risk. I guess maybe thinking of it of not as a risk. I think,
Mm,
when we talk about like our fears and all these like self-limiting beliefs, and we're the only person, or we're the only person that's truly holding us back from what we're doing. And interesting that that kind of got brought up too, because one of the little stones that I got today was what would you do if you knew you could not fail? And that really
right,
spoke to me. So with people, like if they're afraid or feel this fear, even parents or friends or colleagues that are kind of like on them, or maybe like guilting them out of not doing what really want to be doing.
Yeah.
I remember I told this to someone that was kind of asking a similar question not too long ago, about kind of wanting to do something that they're really passionate about, but
Yeah.
feeling like the external forces were kind of like against them.
Like
And that,
Pink Floyd, like another brick in the wall.
yeah, yeah,
How
for
can you
sure.
eat any meat if you don't eat a pudding? No, pudding if you don't eat meat.
Yes, life advice right there. um yeah, and I kind of like to think of this question like, if you woke up in 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years from now, and look back on your life, having like this life kind of reflection moment, and say to yourself or think to yourself, like, would you be fulfilled? I don't want to say the word happiness, because happiness is just an emotion. It's the fulfillingness that lasts longer. Would you be fulfilled with all of these
Mm,
things that you've done in your life? And like, would you regret not doing what you really want to do? Would you regret not following your passions, not listening to your heart, not connecting with your soul in that way? And I think that's really what it comes down to, because if
mhm.
there's so many people that want to go down that path of following their passions and doing what they really love to do, and doing something that really, fulfills them. And if you think that you're going to regret not doing that, then that is like your number one like thing, that your number one kind of like call to action of like, okay, well then you're supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Because if it's something that like, you're not, you feel like you won't regret, then that's probably not in alignment with you. So I
Hmm.
like to think about it like in that way, of terms of like, the regret and waking up like how many years from now, and you're missing out on that part of your soul. And like, we, no matter like what your beliefs are, like I'm a true believer in like, incarnation and coming into different like lifetimes and life forms. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think it just kind of all goes together, that like you incarnated here in this lifetime for something, for a reason, for a mission. Like, and obviously everyone's mission or path is going to be different, and it could be several different things. So it's all about in here, it's about your heart center. Like, that is your brain right here. We like to think of it here, but it's right here.
For real, like, and for those people that like actually believe in science, it's like, yo, your heart field is literally
Yeah.
thousands of times more energetic than like any other part of your body.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we need to listen to. So if you're being called to do something, no matter whatever that may be, it could be come in many different shapes or forms, to listen to that and to just do it, just go for it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
go for it. Just
Yeah.
go for it, for real.
Trust in yourself and trust in the process.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was sharing with you before, that Indiana Jones, he's like going for a temple thing, and he has to cross this deep dark abyss, and he can't see, like it's pitch black in the abyss. And he's like, fuck, I have to go across this. I'm being chased. And he's like, okay, screw it. And just takes a step literally like into the abyss with no justification. Someone's watching that, like, you're just stepping into that dark abyss, but a friggin' stone comes flying up and flies right under his foot. And he has to have the trust that the next step he takes, like a stone, will fly under your heart, under your foot. And
Yeah.
like your heart's like that, like it will, as it's so vast, it will attract like what's, I've had so many magical moments where I'm like, I can tell I'm doing, I can tell this is happening for me and I'm being taken care of because I'm following my heart. Like it was just that knowing. So yeah, exactly. Go for it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's something you're called for. Sweet, sweet, sweet,
Yeah.
sweet. Okay, so sweet. Oh, this is okay. This is a cool one. I think we'll wrap it up after like this question here.
Okay, sounds good.
So in like this world, in this society, like money is an energy exchange. And it's just that it's neutral, as everything is before we give it meaning, right? Money is neutral, but I know some people who I've spoke to that like do these things they're passionate about, it's their hobby. I'm like, you ever try like actually selling that to people? And they're like, I don't want to be a sellout, like I don't really do that, this is just for me. And I'm like, I respect that. I really do respect that. But did you know there's people out there waiting for this sort of thing? Like, would you rather be working your part-time job at like Toys R Us right now? Or what if you could stay home, do these things you love, and just put even more time into doing them and like give them to people? So like, yeah, what are your thoughts on kind of like selling art or making money off of your passion?
Yeah, 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 it's interesting because this past year has been like a really huge transformative time for me, like in my whole kind of like ascension process, and a lot of like my beliefs and limitations or values that I thought were values that didn't actually speak true to myself, all of those were kind of like crumbled down. And one of them was this whole kind of belief about money. And a lot of it kind of doing with like my having to relate to like my upbringing and just like kind of
Mhm.
parental views and values and all these things. So
Yeah,
all those things get passed down to you too. And so I've had a lot of blockages with that, and seeing, I didn't see money as a sort of like exchange of value before. And that
right.
was really kind of like a big big like eye-opening thing for me, is to see it like that. So like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't so bad after all. Maybe, this is abundance, and I can look at it in this whole new life. In that, if I want to follow my, my dreams per se, my passions, that I'd be able to do that and accumulate money. That I've actually kind of switched the word on that too. I kind of went into it, instead of like making money, is to be accumulating money, right? And
I
that,
like that.
setting yourself in that kind of state of abundance. And yeah, and so yeah, it's
Attracting,
been, yeah,
attracting money,
exactly.
because like a lot of people, and I think my mom told me this or planted the seed in my head too, or like, and you'll hear it all the time. To make a lot of money, you have to fuck people over, right? Or you have to step on people's heads, or
Yeah,
money is evil, money
yeah,
does this. And it's like, it's not about the money, it's about what you do with it, what it means to you. And yeah, and another thing that helped me with making that shift is, okay, if you watch YouTube videos online and they're free and they're like tutorials on how to do something, and it's something you really want to do, like you might watch that tutorial and maybe miss certain parts, zone out, not get as much value from it. But if a college is teaching that exact same thing, or if there's an
yeah,
online course teaching that exact same thing, and you pay $500 for it, you are more likely to pay attention, to get value from it, and it means more to you. So something that's really helped me is like, I'm selling my music. Yes, I'm selling myself. Like, A, it's something I love doing. I can just attract it towards me. B,
yeah,
I'm adding value to people. C, if I give someone like 10 beats for free, or like 10 beats that they had to pay for, they're more likely to make better songs on the 10 beats that they paid for. Like it's
yeah.
just, the psychology of it, if you will.
Yeah, and that, it's talking about like, yeah, the value of like, providing value and receiving value. And that, money's this whole, it's in, like you said at the beginning, like it's this like energetic exchange. And like you said with your example of, someone would be more likely to, to use this if they, put that energy into it. So you're going to receive that same amount, maybe even more amount of energy, back to themselves. So it's this kind of like harmonious, like dance of energy that's money. Is very interesting. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's truth within that.
so much truth within that, with it being, like energy, because it's like the one person that bought the course, they did stuff to get the money, so they're gonna put the equal amount of energy, hopefully, into like whatever they bought. And then it's for you, you put the energy into creating that, and you're giving it to them, right? And it's
Yeah,
like, it's weird, it's like a middleman, it's almost
yeah,
like a mastermind.
yeah,
There are
exactly.
days where I still contemplate like, man, should there be money or should they not? But it's like I face the reality that I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon. So
Yeah. And if you think about it too, like, we use the term like money and that, our form of exchange for currency is these, paper bills, right?
yeah.
But it could be if you exchange that for maybe like crystals, say, like that could be a form of money as well in this different,
Yeah.
material form that still would hold like the same value that we would be exchanging for different things that like, that we want or that we provide. So it's,
Hmm.
yeah, it's very interesting just to kind of think about it in different ways and just to kind of like open up your mind to these different, yeah, these different ways and these different changing like your beliefs on it and like what it is and like and what it means to you. I think that's really key as well too, is like what does, having money or paying for something, what does that mean to you, and like what's the intention behind it too, because like you
Hmm.
said, like with the example like with your mom or with society, like it can be a very negative, intentions that we're using this form of, currency for, but it can be a very positive thing. It can, help a lot of people, give value to people. It can, do so many more things. So it's all kind of, yeah, your intention and your thought process, yeah, that kind of drives it all, and that's going to drive your own personal experience.
100%. And that's everything in life. I'm a huge believer in that. That's a
Yeah,
message
for
I
sure.
already know. I try to spread that message on my YouTube channel. Like your beliefs, your meanings, you give things.
Yeah.
It's everything, you know. I saw you got that pendulum today. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah. It was very intriguing because when I went into that shop, I had in my mind that like I would get another book, because the last time I went in, I found this book on it's called like plant spirit medicine.
Spirit
Um
medicine.
yeah, that really like spoke to me. So I thought, oh, like they had a really cool selection of books. I'll probably get another book. But yeah, when I was walking through and like the pendulum just like spoke out to me, it was almost just like, like Danielle,
Yeah,
like pick me, like so many things. Yeah, it always happens if you're
that's it.
really tuned in, right? And same
Hmm.
thing with like the couple other crystals, like the moonstone and the other I forget what it's called, like the artist stone that I have here, like this little one. And
Yeah.
yeah, with the pendulum,
Sweet.
it was cool because I've never worked with one before, and it was just calling to me. And so like, okay, cool. I guess we're gonna be, buddies now, and have really interesting experiences together. And yeah, so I'm very
That's it.
excited.
That's cool how you look at it. Like really
Yeah,
like personifying it, you know? Which it
yeah,
is. It's alive. It
yeah.
is
It's
alive.
his own consciousness, right?
Everything is alive. This
Yeah,
desk my laptop in is gonna send me so much love if I just love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Sweet. Okay, so uh Danielle, oh my god. Can you quickly tell us where the shapeshifter came with? That was the first question I meant to ask. Now it's the last.
I had a feeling that you would probably ask that, because I mean a lot of people ask because I don't really go by like, Danielle Martin, like my human name.
Cool. Your physical ego incarnation name.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Um, so yeah, I'll try to kind of put in a nutshell. So about 2 years ago when I was in school, I did photography for a semester, and I was doing this illustration on this little canvas, and just kind of like in my style of like how I illustrate, just going around the motions, and I created this almost little like hand like entity thing that had all these different kind of like personas on all the fingers, like these different names of the people. And then one of them, like I wrote the shapeshifter. Like I just wrote it down, and I didn't think really anything of it. I just kind of thought, oh, that's kind of cool, like the name, like the shapeshifter. And yeah, didn't really think anything of it. And then we had this other project that we had to do with like taking photos like of ourselves as kind of like a self-portrait thing. And
Right.
the name shapeshifter kind of just like popped up into like my consciousness of like shapeshifting into these different personalities, almost these different personas. And so that kind of led me into like because I was at school, so I was doing a bunch of different projects. The name kind of kept popping out of nowhere, and then it really kind of came to light when I did this project. It was called like the Identity series, and I really kind of like categorize each personality of myself that's all within, you know, the outer shell of Danielle. And yeah, and so I was thinking of like the term shapeshifter and shapeshifting into these different characters per se, these different people that I feel are within myself. And yeah, and from then, like, yeah, from the projects and from the term coming up the first time like I illustrated it, it really started to evolve through each of my creations that I did. And I just started doing like kind of more deep diving within myself on the term, and it kept coming up. And in my second semester I was doing this course called digital image design, and so we were branding ourselves, and the first thing that came to mind was the shapeshifter. Like, Danielle, like, you are the shapeshifter. That's what you are, that's what you embody, that's what your art like speaks of, that's what you speak of. Like, it was this whole kind of you know, full circle
Yeah.
moment, and that's where
Wait.
it really came to light. So that's when I first started like creating the brand of what's, you know, on my Instagram, my business, like, of
Mhm.
the shapeshifter. And yeah, and so it
Wait.
just ironically kind of worked out that my style of illustrating has to do with a lot of flowing shapes and these different characters, and so it all just intertwined so beautifully together. And ever
Yeah.
since that, like, it
It's
just stuck. It just stuck.
That's sick. That's awesome. And I love how you talk about, you know, like something else saying to you, like, you are the shapeshifter, or something else like saying
Yeah.
to you, this is your avenue. Like, when I was creating my name for Infinite Beats, I was like in my job working at a vegan restaurant, and I was thinking, okay, I need to come up with a name for this. I need to come up with a producer name, and I wanted to be true to myself and my whole entire brand. My last name's Infante, and then like you said, like something else said to me, like, it's infinite. You
Yeah.
are Infinite Beats. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
yeah, exactly. Like resonating on like level 700, like that. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's, yeah, it's so I kind of had like this little like profoundness moment too. I don't know if it was a moment or just one of those things that kind of just kind of kept snowballing, of being the shapeshifter and what that term really implies, of being able to, you know, take on this different identity of whatever I want to be. So like I can, you know, shape shift from this person to this person, to the creator, to, you know, the
Yeah,
nature lover, to, you know, this and that. And
that's sick.
yeah, this whole kind of like evolution as well, you know, like constantly evolving, constantly shifting into new realms of consciousness, new realities. Like, and I started looking at my life and feeling that my life was the shapeshifter, like, and we all are. And I think that was like
Yeah,
a big thing too, that I was like, it's not just me who's shapeshifting, we are all shapeshifting every single day, and through the
hmm,
years, through our whole life, we're constantly evolving. So it's this really like harmonious mix of shifting and yeah, the whole evolution of the self, that just everything just kind of, you know, compiled so
yeah,
beautiful and like divine timing too.
awesome,
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Oh, look at that, it's exactly 4:33 now.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, not an
Amazing.
hour since we started recording, I just thought. So about 45 minutes. That was great. So like where can people find you?
Yeah, so right now my main kind of premise of all my work and what I do is on my Instagram, at underscore the shapeshifter. And yeah, I've been
Nice.
trying to post more regularly, and with all, you know, my work, and really kind of going deeper into myself and kind of, you know, being more vulnerable with my own journey. So yeah, go and take a look if you're, yeah, interested and feel like that
Mm.
provides value to you. And yeah, the shapeshifter.
Yeah, she's got some like really great flow art, channeled paintings. and overall just like great as vibes.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
No problem. All right, so thanks for coming on, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna end the recording now.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much. I
No
appreciate it.
problem.